Hey there people, what's going on? My name is Ryan.
And I'm Lewis.
And today we are very excited because we're going to be breaking down a really awesome tune, Paranoid Android, but we're going to be taking a bit of a different slant with it. So for starters, we're going to be going through it, looking at it from a harmonic perspective so we can give you people out there or songwriters out there, some tools and info on how you can break down and actually see what's going on with this one. And then what else are we going to look at as part of this, Lewis?
I think a big part of the sound of that song is the layers and the effects that they use. So how they use their effects to structure the arrangement of the guitars is a pretty cool way to approach 1, 2, 3 guitars and samples and things. So
absolutely. So we're going to be sort of taking an overall look at what's going on there so you people can have some really good takeaways for your own work, your own guitar playing, whether it's writing, composition, or just how to structure a band setup. Because like you said, Radiohead, 3 guitars. Generally that's a bad idea, 3 guitars in a band.
3 more than you probably need.
Maybe.
Yeah,
You're not going to hear that from us though.
No, definitely not.
But before we get started and into today's tutorial, people, if you'd like to support High Point Music in pumping out content like this, how can people do so, Lewis?
A good one is the Patreon page. Yeah, you can head over there and become one of our esteemed Patreon members.
So that just helps with everything from our studio costs, production costs, editing costs, everything that allows us to continue to output this content for you wonderful people out there. If there's any questions or requests you'd like to make for further content, how can people get in touch, Lewis?
Social media is a good way to do that. You can jump on the Instagram or you could leave a comment below the video and let us know what you'd like to see. Awesome.
It's always good to hear from people out there, but with all that said and done, let's drop this intro and get into Paranoid Android. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do with our tutorial today is we're going to break down the structure harmonically of what we've got going on in this first section. We'll do a quick demo in a second, and then we're going to get onto some of the guitar sounds and the layers and the arrangement aspects that make up this section. So why don't we jump in, demo the section we're going to break down, and then we'll start ripping into it. So
awesome.
Okay, Lewis, so let's start breaking down what's going on with the melody in that section. So jumping in on the fretboard, people, we've got this C, D, E flat, G, A natural, B flat, okay? So what that is, if you're not aware, that's a C Dorian mode, which comes straight out of B flat major. So C Dorian, so he's pretty much just ascending straight up that scale. However, what happens is, as the melody continues on, so we go, okay, we're still in C Dorian, and then we drop a semitone to the E natural there, and what's going on there is that's when the tune's actually changing its tonality, so to speak, from a C minor
down to the G minor.
Down to the G minor.
Cool.
Exactly right, man. So what's going on is there's 2 Dorian modes as I see it. Okay, so you've got the C minor with the natural 6. Illustrating it's a Dorian, and then the E major, or the natural E, I should say, when it falls into that part, falling over the G minor indicates that that's a G Dorian as well.
Yep.
So that's what's going on there. Why don't we run that, we'll just talk through it really, really slow so we can illustrate that with the chords nice and smoothly, okay? So just so you can see how the melody's working over these chord changes, which we're going to break down in a second. But one thing before we do this, one thing I noticed which was really, really cool and very, very important thing I learned in composition is contrast.
Sure.
So in this way we've got the melody ascending and the chords, the bass notes are
descending. Yeah, cool.
So that's a very cool concept to work into your own writing, playing. Let's give it a go.
Okay.
So 4 and... So we're ascending up the C Dorian into G here, and then to the E natural over that G minor. So you hear the difference that makes when we hit that E natural over that G minor. Let's do it again. So 3, 4, and so going up C Dorian, so you really hear when it goes from that F to that natural 13 or the natural 6 over that, how it really, really stands out, okay?
Yeah.
I think that's why some people get that idea of thinking it's an E half diminished.
Sure.
Which is just a fancy way of saying G minor 6, in my opinion.
Yep.
All right, so that's what's going on there. So it's effectively two Dorian modes. Okay? Like that, which is going on there. So nothing too crazy going on there melodically. So let's have a look at the chords that are going on behind that melody. So what we've got, starting off with C minor, right? Was the first one.
Yep.
Second half of that bar is C over B flat. Okay, so just ascending bass line.
Yep.
And then the next bar we've got F9, and then F9 over A.
Yep.
Okay. So effectively you've got a 2-5-1 and B flat, C minor.
Ah, that's
F,
good. Yeah,
right?
cool.
So recapping that, so C minor, C over B flat, F9, F over A. Okay, so that's. Okay, and then following on from that we've got G, and then on beats 3 and 4 the ascending bass line with G over A, natural there, B flat.
Yep.
And then depending which way you want to look at it, that chord there, G minor 6 or E flat half diminished over G, which is a long way of saying G minor 6 in my opinion.
You're still using that same voicing though.
More or less.
You know,
it's the same
this
notes.
C minor.
Yeah, it's the same notes. Call it what you want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very interesting use of that chord shape.
Yeah.
And then being able to have your fingers free to play that little bass line run. I really like it.
Yeah. So what's so the structure of the chords, okay, or that section. So with the melody, there's a 10-bar chord progression of what's going on before it actually goes into the next part and what's there.
Yep.
So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that last two bars, bars 3 and 4, repeats again to make that first part a 6-bar structure.
Yep.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that first part of it's actually 6, and then the next bit is just repeating those first 4 bars of that structure. Okay, so C minor over B flat, F, G, A, B, 2, 3, before getting into the next section.
Into the little pre-chorus section.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's the thing. Nothing too crazy going on there harmonically, but okay, nice ascending use of the modes. So it just repeats that melodic phrase twice. And then the only thing that really stands out for me is the way they use that little 2-bar repeat of the first half of the chords there from the G minor, G over A to B flat, just to give it a bit of space and to texturally bring in some of those parts which serve the story, which we're going to look at in a second once we run through that. Well, actually, why don't we look at those now? Yeah,
so interesting point stopping on the turnover here, because you'll hear that when they come into that G minor section, they've got this beautifully phased guitar tone coming in.
Cool. So what I'll just pretend to be the acoustic guitar part.
Sure, okay.
And we'll run through some of those parts, and we can break down some of the textures and see how they're layering this section up to achieve the story. So 2, 3, actually I'll do it without a pick. 2, 3, 4, and... Yeah, that sounds cool. So that's just a bit of phase music.
That's the end of the 10
bar. Cool. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, because that
starts in. So what I really like is we get that higher up octave in the first time through. stays way out of the vocals.
Yeah.
The phaser gives this beautifully lush kind of moving part, almost a polyrhythm kind of sound. I didn't really get too far into the tempo of the modulation, but it kind of slowly rolls in and slowly rolls out to give it this spacey atmospheric sound.
Is it a slower?
Yeah, I think it's definitely slower than the tempo of the song. And then when it drops down, we get that over the first section.
Yeah.
When it drops to the second time through that G minor, you're dropping down the octave.
Yeah.
And then stepping up to the E flat of the C minor again.
In there. Wicked.
So they drop through that octave section really nicely. And that, I think, helps to paint that second turnaround.
Yeah.
And then you only do one more higher up, and then we're into the pre-chorus, which has some other arpeggios. So very simple.
Yeah.
But really good use of the space and really, really mature guitar line to just fit in over the top of those chord changes.
I liked what you said there about space, because what's going on there is, I'll say there is one more time to fit it in, but, excuse me, there is space, the vocal line. So you go. And then you've got those parts, and then, so it's not competing with anything, right? And that's a very, very important thing to underline. Like, for a guitarist, even from an arrangement perspective, pick your space, find the space. Don't just, kick the door in.
Yeah.
Find that space and paint those textures and add to the story that way.
Yeah, that's right. It's really, the singing is going to have a break, makes it very sing-alongable.
Yeah.
Everyone in the audience gets a before they sing the next line.
Yeah.
And that's the guitarist's moment to fill in some of that space. Hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Don't forget there's 3 guitars in this song.
Yeah.
It's really nicely laid out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It never feels too busy.
So just jumping in, I'll quickly show you. I've got that at 24.2 beats per minute.
Man, that's slow.
It's very slow, but it just rolls in. You don't want the jet plane kind of effect. That's why I've used this particular phaser, which is 4-stage phaser.
Yeah, okay.
So very, very slow, very simple sound. But because it comes in so slowly, it's not interfering with the tempo of the song, which I think is a really good use of the space.
Yeah, awesome, cool. So that's how people can sort of dig in and sort of get that sort of sound with their own playing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in time, but it's so slow that it doesn't interfere with it, which I think is a really good, with so much percussion sample going on.
Yeah.
This is, like contrast we were just talking about, having the phaser come in out of time doesn't really mess up all those polyrhythms that the percussion samples and things are doing.
No, cool, good point, man. All right, well, let's start breaking down the next section that we've got coming up. So that's the what's there, who's there,
what's there,
who's there,
what's that, who's that.
Yeah, cool. All right. Cool. All right, leading us back into the second verse of what's going on there. Cool. One thing I found really interesting about this was, again, coming back to that contrast idea with the melody from the first verse. Very flowy, very linear, going up the Dorian mode. This one is static.
Yeah.
Okay? Again, contrast helps it stand out.
Yep.
But the other thing which was very, very interesting what's going on here is it's static and the chords are doing their thing, and there's the reason why it's static, or not the reason why, very shaky ground trying to get inside a composer's head.
Very true.
But one of the things that having it static allows the other musicians or the arrangement, producer and production team, whatever you want to call it, to actually do is it gives them a platform, again, coming back to space, in which they can actually, we can paint the picture, we can get in and do stuff in and around that, because harmonically, that's really still, straight, nothing's going to get in the way. Excuse me again. But I remember you saying, like, when we were breaking this one down, you got those vocal samples of the computerized voice.
The speaking voice coming on, and further on in the song, when this section repeats, it gets busier and busier. So at the moment, it seems very simple and straightforward, but they step it up in the next run through.
Yeah. So, but again, interesting 7-bar section.
Yeah. So another odd amount of bars, you know, as in it's not a 12 or 16 bar section. It's a short section. It gives us this sense of urgency and this revolving movement coming through. Yeah. It's picking up pace. There's this uncertainty going on.
Yeah, uncertainty is a really good way to describe it. So running through the chords that we've got there, so G minor 6, if we've got that E on top for a bar, I'd call that a D minor 9 over F, because we've got the E there for a bar, and then E7 for a bar there, and then just repeating back to G minor for a bar, D minor 9 over F for a bar, and then E7 for 2 bars there, which makes it a 7 bar section. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Counting it correctly like that. So that's pretty much what's going on harmonically. So very static. It's pretty much just creates a space for them to get the point across with the textures. There's some really awesome guitar parts, cool sounds going on.
Yeah, starting out here.
Why don't we have a look at some of those?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, keeping away from the melody, the thing I think interesting is because we're up so high on that E note, you come in with this octave up sound. I'm pretty sure it's neck pickup because of the way it sounds, but you get this arpeggio as well.
Yeah, so just over G. Yeah. Cool, so what do you got going into that sound, Lewis?
So that's just the 1 octave up on the POG. Johnny Greenwood does very famously use a Digitech whammy, which has that 1 up. This was much easier to control, and it has that little bit of the glitchy kind of sound that the whammy does as well.
Yeah.
But it's keeping it way out of the range of the vocals. It's almost a synthesizer or paddy kind of sound coming through, which I really like. I tend to use the neck pickup to get that sound, just to dull the tonality a little bit. In no way, to my ears, is it sharp. And I think the warmness and the thickness of the neck pickup really brings that out.
Yeah. Because that's, like it's a nice contrast again over those chords there. But again, that static melody note with the vocals allows more space for a busier sort of...
Yeah, that's it, to fill that harmony out and make room in the mix for these extra riffs.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Okay, cool. So moving right along there, Lewis. So the next part of the tune we've got is the second verse. And what is noticeable in this section is everything's more or less harmonically staying the same from the chords, the textures from the first verse with the guitar parts. But what's going on with our melody is we've actually got... Okay, so as opposed to the first verse where it's... Alright, we've got ascending, we've got a descending melody line. Okay, so one thing, this is only my opinion here, but I think this reflects the nature of the lyrics a lot better, this descending melody note, or melody line I should say, and how it's actually delivered. So, when I am king, you will be first against the wall. It's kind of almost, for me it sounds like that melody line, you could draw similar or parallels between, it's very sighing, very just like,
It's changed mood.
It has changed mood, that's a better way to put it. It's not a huge change,
but it's reflecting the lyrics nicely.
Yes, and I think that's a massive point when you're looking at composition or arrangement is you've got to look at the story you're trying to tell, what you're trying to get across. That's so important and so overlooked. Even from guitarists, like with our lines and things that we use, we can still get in and reflect that storytelling, even though it's more abstract if it's an instrumental part.
Yeah, absolutely. It creates a nice contrast between the first verse and the second verse.
Yeah.
And for the people singing along, it's that change of attitude that the music can now start to follow those vocals and step up the anger that the song is starting to portray.
It's starting to brood. It's starting to brood.
Yeah.
But that's cool, but that's pretty much what's going on there. And then after we follow, it's from a structural perspective, it stays with that 10 bar structure there, and then moving straight back into the, which harmonically, everything's still the same. But what have we got There's some extra guitar parts, layers, textures. What have we got going on
so
there?
we start to hear the a few more lines coming through. Again, it's all more phaser. There are some single note runs coming into those parts. So what we get here is a similar arpeggio pattern coming in for the second pre-chorus there. And it's similar to what both the guitars are doing, but it's starting to thicken the entire mix up now. Okay, so we get into here. So 3, 4.
Yeah, cool. So that's the thing, adding it, like you were saying, just adding that more emphasis, more building what's going on.
Yeah, we still got that upper arpeggio going on, and it's accenting that F natural to E natural line that the vocals are doing.
Yeah, slows. Yeah, slurring them through,
And because that upper arpeggio, we're still getting out of our 1 octave up. Because that stays the same, it's not stepping over that semitone movement in the F to the E natural, so works really well, and you get that rolling effect of the phaser coming through. And then some single line lead work sort of happening, just accenting the semitone movements between the chord changes that just start to thicken that up as well.
Yeah, some nice voice leading going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Voice leading is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, cool. Very nice. So that's sort of just adding, building to what's going on there. So that leads us to our next section where things start to get a bit of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say, man. Okay, Lewis, so the next part we've got coming in, so that... so fun. So much fun, man.
Rocks out.
Part of me just wants to start doing these ones. But anyway, cool. So what we've got going on, really simply to get through the structure and the harmony, we've got... Okay, so an A minor or an A natural minor, depending on what you want to call it, doesn't really matter. Okay, just getting through that, rocking out, and then changing to the relative major. So C major to A flat to B flat. So very interesting, very impressionist type of harmony I'd think of that as. But pretty much so you got 4 bars of this riff. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4 changes there. Boom, 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 boom. So interesting, you got that 7 beat structure in the bars there. Okay, so bars of 4 and then 7 going on there before changing to the 1, 2, 3, 4 when it goes back in. So the thing I like about that is, without going on about it too much, is it sounds really, really cool, but doesn't sound like it's asymmetrical. I think that's a skill. People can get too caught up in trying to make, I want to put a bar of 7 and a bar of 3, and getting too in their head, as opposed to just following. Make sure it serves a story. And I think this does it.
Yeah, absolutely. You hear that change from the C minor to the C major. You know, we've gone from minor chords to major chords, which is, again, relating that lyrics and what's going on in the song.
Yeah, from the verse being based around C. Yeah, so you got the other thing too, like A minor, I should say, to C major. So it's sort of within a key, so it's related, but not too closely, because once you start going, A flats, B flats. You know, getting that sort of sound. All right, so having a look at how this section's actually built. So now we've outlaid the harmony and the structure of what's going on. So with that guitar part, you've actually got the vocals following that line like that, which is pretty straightforward. But let's have a look at how the vocals build. It's telling the story, it's building the mood of the song. But let's look at how the guitar parts layer up and follow that with those parts. So one thing you pointed out when we were listening to this track was the escalation of the accompanying guitar parts. So you get the vocals coming along with that riff to start with, the bass and the acoustic guitar playing the same riff, and then once the vocals drop out, you get that phased guitar coming in. So now we've heard it playing some stuff out of the way, keeping out of everyone's hair. We get that. Yeah, so let's like just lay that, just a quick little demo of what that might sound like. So 2, 3, 4. Pretty ugly. Yeah. So it just adds that little bit of angst.
Yeah, that's starting to build a bit of pace.
Yeah. Cool. So that's what's going on there, and then we've got that section rolling through. Okay, with some Rhodes hitting in the background, some
that
add
off,
a bit of punch,
that off rhythm Rhodes that I thought was guitar to start with. I love the tonality of it.
Yeah.
You could probably get away with it with some fairly basic chords if you wanted to reproduce
roll
it.
that tone off.
Back your tone off.
Yeah, big time.
And just fit between all the beats.
Yeah.
It sounds really good. What I love about this section is the now where like it's about to take off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
So how are we going to manage that takeoff, man?
So I keep referring to this as the creep factor.
Yeah.
You get that stab of distorted guitar.
Yeah.
So I've got the Marshall Shredmaster ready to go.
Cool.
You could probably use a Proco Rat here, or a DS1. You get that the lyric, which is the lyric after the kicking, squealing Gucci little piggy.
Yeah.
Just as he sings the "You Remember," you get this.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, what's that? There's a distorted guitar over there coming in.
Getting ready to go.
So you get that "You Remember," "You Remember," and then another.
Yeah.
Kicking through.
Yeah, that's wicked.
Yeah.
That's cool how that comes in. Why don't we, you can do a bit of pedal bouncing if you want, but why don't we just demo quickly how those sections build? We'll just run through it clean. You can add a bit of phase and then kicking in just so people can get an idea of how those sections fall together.
Cool.
All right. So phaser on. Wannabe acoustic guitar. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Bit of a breather. About 7 bars, 7 beats here. 2, 3. That's so fun.
You just, here it is. It's great. It's great.
Sounds really cool, but in terms of tone and sounds, like he hasn't got. It's pretty straightforward. Just a distorted overdrive.
Yeah, just distorted overdrive pedal.
Yeah.
Played very aggressively, I think is the point here. We've got some very, very conscious guitar parts going on, some very mature guitar parts. And now that the lyrics have stepped up the mood in the song, there's this anger and this broodingness going on.
Yeah.
The distorted guitar coming in, that big power slide before he actually plays a note, that...
Yeah.
And then Tom screaming, you remember, and then... And then the big bends.
Yeah.
And Johnny Greenwood has this toggle switch on his guitar, like a mute switch. If you're playing with a Les Paul, you can turn half your volume controls down and use your pickup selector to jump between it. But he kind of has this...
Yeah.
kind of sound.
Yeah.
It's a stutter effect that, again, just paints that erraticness, that craziness, that anger trying to get out.
To me, it sounds like he's almost got someone, but the singer's got someone by the neck.
Yeah.
So very aggressive, very angsty. Bottle it up, let it out, Tom.
Yeah, that's it.
Don't bottle it up.
Now that guitar there, that loud distorted guitar's there, the contrast is really, really changing in the song.
Absolutely. So that's the thing. Those parts escalate. There's a solo going on there as well. What's going on in terms of his tone and some of his playing techniques and how he's approaching the harmony from his soloing?
Sure.
So what's he got going on with the solo in that song?
So to me, this section is the memorable solo. There are some really cool stuff at the end, like the outro.
Yeah, the squelchy stuff.
I've been playing this as much as I can, this little solo, because it's really a strange concept for me to... There's a lot of semitone movement, but... So sliding from the G sharp...
Yeah.
Up to the 20th fret.
Yeah, cool.
We spoke yesterday about Johnny Greenwood playing a Tele Plus model. So it's a Telecaster that actually has 22 frets instead of 21.
Yeah.
So we get that.
Yeah.
And then you get into some bending there as well.
Very pentatonic there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's this dissonant kind of build up, and then you get to the...
So pretty much, so you'd say, so the first half of the solo he's doing like those pentatonic bends, just like, you know, that really straightforward, almost like rockabilly blues type of playing. But then it sounds like he's going in, sounds like he's just going bending up to those major thirds. They're going over the C major, A flat, B flat. So contrast again from the pentatonic structures of what he's got.
Yeah, very dissonant. That bending up to that semitone clash.
Yeah.
And then bending into the tone section there.
Yeah. Almost like whole tone.
Yeah.
But all right, that's cool. But that's again, it all contrasts. You can see that in this track. There's a lot of it going on, isn't
It's very, very well arranged.
Yeah, you can say that. You can definitely say that again there. So once we're done with that section, we've just pointed out some things going on there. The next section we've got, jumping on the fretboard, we're going to go through this one. So the chords, we've got the 16 bar section. We've got C minor for a bar, G over B, B flat to A7, and then D minor to A7, back to D minor, and then to C major, and then straight B flat over A, G minor, and then F major, E7 for 2 bars, and then A7, and then if you want to get into your susses, like that. So what's going on there, you've got C minor to G major over B, or a B minor, so not your most traditional, and then to a B flat. Okay, so you've got that semitone bass movement going on there. And what's going on is the melody note from the vocals, once it actually kicks in, is following the third of each chord. Okay, so you got on the E flat there to there, it goes to B flat, and then to A7. Okay, it's in there on the C sharp like that. And then to D minor, it's popping in on the F, which is the third again. All right, so it's pretty much, that's very consistent going all the way through. All right, so pretty much to me it sounds like a very traditional, almost lifted out of a classical piece. I could hear this, you know, nice arpeggio.
Yeah.
You know, moving like that. Again, it's contrast harmonically, especially what's been going on. And this, compared to a lot of what else has been going on, is almost, it follows more conventional harmony. I say that with air quotes, in terms of like classical music. It's, you know, we've got a few chromatic descending lines there, but you know, there's a lot of 5/1s going on in there, from like A7 to D minor, like descending bass notes, which are, you know, very moving within major harmony, nothing too crazy. So that's pretty much what's going on there. You point out it goes to halftime, which is a cool little change up.
And it breaks down nicely. And we get the lyrics coming in, the rain down kind of word painting, I would describe, where the lyrics are being reflected in the way the music's coming through.
Yes, and especially with that descending movement. Absolutely. So the other thing which I notice harmonically going on with this one is, as we pointed out, the melody notes following the third. Okay, what actually happens is, when the melody actually progresses second time through, and he's adding on those parts there. What's going on there is that's all built off the third. So even though it's an extra part, it's a little bit busier. What's actually going on there, because it's using the same information or the same notes, and it's building off the back of that. And because the other harmony that's already there is so static, or it's not as busy, it allows the space for those extra parts, those harmonic devices, to be busier.
So the vocals are following the standard chord notes.
They're building on what's there.
Yep. And that extra vocal part is sort of staying away, but still staying within the harmony of those chords.
It is, 100%. But it is, as I think of it, as it's building.
Yep.
It's building on top of what there. It's adding to it. The story's developing.
Yep.
Okay? And because of the way that it's structured, it doesn't get nothing gets in the way. Nothing's taking away. It all works together to the same purpose.
Yep.
Okay? So that's the thing. This section, they, as you point out, drops to halftime. It's descending, getting into that relationship with the lyrics really tightly. So you've got the melody note following the third. Second time through, you've got that theme developing off the third to the fifth. Okay, all the way through, and then it's just building, but very, very slowly. Okay, so lots of cool things going on within that section there.
Yeah, some great orchestration and pads starting to come through. In that they're creating those extra harmonies, creating the space and the ambience, but still allowing the vocals to be the main point of that.
100%. I'd almost think of it backwards as the other parts are just serving, they're following the vocals. Yeah,
absolutely. It lays a nice background for the vocals to stand out and yet still contrast the very syncopated, very rhythm-heavy verse and pre-chorus sections.
Absolutely. So that's the thing, that wraps up that section, and then pretty much once it comes out of there, so off from the A7, God loves his children, and then we're rocking back into... rocking out. Some interesting effects going on with the soloing at the end. That sounds like it's sort of outboard studio.
It definitely is outboard studio. A little bit of research I found there, running the guitar through a synthesizer module, and that's how it gets that real squelchy sound.
Yeah, it sounds very randomized. Like that's the thing I like about it. It doesn't sound like it's just one sound running through a pedal.
Yes.
It sounds a bit randomized, like they've really gone to town with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that it's a guitar solo, but it's not a guitar solo. It's part of that erratic craziness that the song is now getting into.
Yep.
I spent a lot of time trying to get the Mobius filters, like the wah filters and things to do it, and I couldn't quite get the squelchiness out of it.
Well, particularly if it's outboard stuff, it's it's going to be very difficult to recreate that with just a pedal running a...
Yes, absolutely. And I've seen there are a few pedals now that get a bit closer, but the closest I found was using an overdrive and something like a synth wah, so where you get this kind of... that envelope filtered sound. So you get a big, here's the start of the phrase accent, and then you get some guitar noise, which is a bit more traditional.
Some sort of synth wah through a multi-effect so we can get an expression
pedal.
Multi-effect
would be perfect.
Get an expression pedal into that. That's how I'd sort of...
Yeah, that's it. It stands out, and it stands out for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
It's not a traditional guitar solo, but it's got this great tonality and great attitude that really lets you know that you are now at the most dynamically huge section of what the guitars have to offer in this song.
No, absolutely, man. All right, Lewis, so pretty much that we've covered most of the sections there. What time to wrap this one up, you'd say?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so what are the big things that stood out for you with this track, looking at from everything we've covered in today's video?
I really enjoy the short bars and the odd numbers of bars.
Yeah, I didn't suspect that.
Yeah, I'm a pretty guitars by numbers kind of guy.
Yeah.
I like 12 bars, 8 bars.
Yeah.
These fairly common, I guess it's the playing jazz and blues tunes.
Yeah.
I'm used to hearing these normal, what I'd consider the normal amount of bars.
Yeah, well, it's more natural. It's more common.
It's more common, yeah. But I like how we have bars of 7, 8. We have these 10 bar or 7 bar sections coming in the song that really build the urgency. You get a little bit of breathing room where you didn't think you were going to get it, and then you get that breath is taken away when they shorten these bars up.
But the thing I liked about it most, and very sincerely, I didn't even notice it, and that's what I like about it, and I think that's a real skill from a perspective, because one thing is really obvious, and one thing at university, at music school, all that sort of jargon, you've got people who are just writing music to be complicated.
Yes.
They're using concepts. This feels authentic, it feels organic, it feels natural. I wouldn't even think of it like, oh, that's a bar, that's just 7, or that's a section of 7 or 10. it's all just part of us, and you caught up with the story, which is the whole point.
That was going to be my next comment, was it doesn't feel unnatural because it's all serving the lyrics, as you mentioned. The lyrics are what's driving it, and they're so well sung, and it's so easy to hear the mood that he's going through, that you don't hear those obscure changes, those abrupt changes, because it's part of it's almost a theatrical like performance.
Yeah, with the different sections of the tune, absolutely.
Yeah. The amount of percussion samples, I spent a lot of time listening with the headphones on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of percussion sound going on in the song, and I think that's great because it helps to keep that gallop, that constant meter going, even though we get some of those weirder bar numbers.
Yep.
And the guitars stay out of the way.
They do. That's the big thing. They're very... That's
if I had written that riff, that A natural minor riff, I would be playing it in every bar from the start of the song to the end of the bar. The amount of self-control it would take me to only play that riff where they play it, somebody would have to tell me to do it, and I'm quite admiral of how well that's executed.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece, this tune. It's just really good storytelling.
Absolutely, yeah.
From a harmonic perspective, contrast we touched on. What I want to cover is the verse melodies we've got. Okay, you've got the ascending lines.
Yep.
With this next section where it's static. All right, second verse. Okay, you've got that descending melody there. So that's one thing I found really, really cool, was there was contrast all the way through this tune. You can find it everywhere. In the beginning of the tune, in the middle of the tune, where it's building, in the third part of the tune where we're descending,
Yep.
And it's not contrast for the sake of contrast. It's contrast, and this is my opinion, it's contrast for the purpose of telling the story and getting it across.
Yep.
And I think that's the thing is, I think that's one of the most important things with guitar or even composition is you have to get in and you have to understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think I'm assuming, I'm on shaky ground here, but I would say that what this song is trying to portray, everybody in the band and, the singer, the producer, everyone was on board with that right from the beginning. And I think without that, or at some point, but without that, this song doesn't happen the way it's happened. No,
this is not a song I think you write the chord progression and then sing over the top of.
Oh God, no.
That's amateur hour in comparison.
Yeah.
I think it's a very mature songwriting.
Amateur hour.
Yeah. It's a very maturely written song.
Yeah.
And I like the way it kind of respects the audience in that I keep likening it to it's Radiohead's Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
It's all about the story of the song. Yeah. And there's nothing in there that shouldn't be there. There's nothing in there the guitarist has gone, I want to play some keys here, or can we do some more drum samples? Yeah, what about a gratuitous guitar solo?
Yeah.
It's all there serving that, going from the meek, feeble kind of sung lyrics at the start through the attitude change into the anger and the craziness that ensues. It's prog music at its best.
Yeah. Would you say everything is in its right place?
Everything definitely is in its right place.
And we've hit a new low there. But on that note, people, we're going to wrap this one up. We hope that you've got a heap out of this tutorial, this breakdown. We've had a heap of fun putting this one together.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Absolutely, people. Drop any requests, any questions you've got with this one. If there's any other tunes you'd like us to do a breakdown, do an analysis of, that's going to help you people out there with your guitar playing, with your composition, your songwriting, get in touch. Let us know. Drop a comment below. If you want to support High Point Music in allowing us to pump out more content like this, Lewis, would you tell the good people how they can do so?
The best way I could think of would be to head over to our Patreon page, become one of our Patreon members, help to keep us putting out as much good quality content as we possibly can. A like, a share, a subscribe on social media. We love that feedback. It's always good to see when people are enjoying it and when they like what they're seeing and hearing. And I agree, if you've got a suggestion of the next song to do, drop it in the comments, because we're probably going to have an argument about that. And I think we let the audience decide on what to do themselves.
100%. All right, people, so with all that said and done, we'll catch up with you all in the next video.
See you then.